We're here with Mark Johnson from KOA. Thank you, Mr. Johnson, for joining us.
You've been happy to be here.
Given the turmoil of the football and basketball programs over the past 3 years, do you think the ship has been righted?
That's kind of a broad question. And at this point, I think I need some combat pay for what I've gone through the last 7 years. I mean, this has not been, a real highlight or high period for the Buffaloes from a competitive standpoint. I think back just a few years ago, it was the Dan Hawkins' second year when they won, 2 games? Basketball won 7. I think I was the only BCS announcer in the country that did not call 10 victories combined in the 2 sports. So obviously this is kind of a dark period for Colorado athletics. And so to answer if the ship has been righted, I think is a little bit little uncertain at this point in time. I like what I'm seeing from basketball. I think Tad Boyle's doing a nice job. Obviously there's some great talent there with Alec Burks and Corey Higgins. It appears to be going in the right direction.
What was your expectations at the beginning of the season, and do you feel this team has or has not met those expectations?
I figure probably 18, 19 wins. They're on pace for that at this point in time. That's why I think Tad Boyle's done some great things.
Right.
They've got some wonderful perimeter talent, obviously. Alec Burks is a lottery pick. Hopefully he sticks around, one more year to play for Colorado.
Well, switching gears a little bit, A.J. Green, wide receiver from Georgia that we played last year in football, he was suspended the past season for selling his jersey, yet universities make millions of dollars off of the merchandising of players. Do you think we have entered an era where the haves and have-nots are so great that it's time to start paying athletes a stipend?
The problem with that is, and my initial response is yes, they need something. But the problem with that becomes the slippery slope aspect of it. There has to be something, because ultimately when you look at what these kids are asked to do in college, it's a full-time job on top of going to school. They are doing a great service for the school. They need to get something in return. And I'm not saying they need, when it's all said and done, for on their way out the door, hand them a check for $100,000. That's not what I'm talking about. But because they're unable to go out and make a couple of bucks to go out with their friends on a Saturday night or whatever it might be, there has to be something. And I don't know that I've got the answer for it. I just know the way the system is set up right now, they're being cheated in some respects and held back a little bit from a social standpoint, which is part of what college is supposed to be about.
Well, let me pick your brain then for a little bit. So if I could make you the head of the NCAA right now.
All right. Well, I wish you had that power.
What are the top 3 things that you would change instantly?
Number one would be a college football playoff. I think that needs to happen. It's always been a hollow argument to me when they say, the number one thing you hear is we can't have a college football playoff because kids are going to miss class.
Right.
Well, I was with Syracuse University back in 2003 when they won the national championship with Carmelo Anthony and Jerry McNamara in that group. I believe, if memory serves, we were on the road 28 out of 35 days during the spring semester. A college football playoff would take place during the semester break for the most part. So it's not like these student athletes would be missing a great deal of class time. That'd be number one. Number 2 would be the issue we just talked about, and that is allowing the students to have something. And I'm not talking about a huge sum of money here. It may be, $100 a month or just something so they have, opportunity to go out and be active socially. I think that'd be number 1. And number 2 would be a little bit like we see in the National Football League of leveling the playing field in some form or fashion. And I haven't, thought in great depth on how you might do that, but you made reference to the haves and have-nots a while ago. That's becoming an enormous issue, which is why I think the move to the Pac-12 for Colorado is better, because in the Big 12, in particular the Big 12 South, it's become an arms race, and the Buffalo simply could not, maintain the position that they were, or even try to maintain a position with Texas and Oklahoma and some of these schools. And so there's got to be some way to level that playing field a little bit, and so I think that'd be number 3.
Is there a way that people can follow you? Are you on Twitter? What's your Twitter account?
Yeah, believe it, an old guy like me has actually figured Twitter out. So yeah, you can go mjohnson850 KOA, and whatever's on my mind. A lot of buff stuff, obviously, but whatever's on my mind about the world of sports we get to on there.
Well, thank you very much for sitting down with me. If you'd like to see our extended interview, check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/sportsmag. And now back to you guys at the desk.